Gang, this is Myth. No, it's been a while. Kind of been busy at work. Looks like it wasn't all for nothing though. Just got notice of promotion. So in the next week or so, I'll be even busier. So for the next week, I'm gonna spend some time trying to catch up on a few things. Doesn't mean I have been lagging behind. I've been doing some casual play. So this stream, we're going to discuss Endgame for Neverwinter. So you hit level 60. That's the cap. What now? Well, like some other games, Neverwinter uses a gear score. And that rating determines what access you get for doing elites or epic dungeons. You see here one of the first ones you'll come across is the Epic Quagmire Crypts. Requires a gear rating of 5700 for you to access it. You can see this next one below it, the Spell Plague Caverns, is grayed out because I do not meet the gear score rating of 8300 to get in there. And each of these elite dungeons tells you what kind of gear you'll find in it. For instance, the Quagmire Crypts, this is one of the first epic dungeons you'll come across, has the tier 1 feat and ring for your class. Well, pretty much for every class. Let's see, one of the early ones that everybody gets into is the Cloak Tower, which is also another 5700. It's got the tier 1 arms. And I did that last night. And luck have it, not only did I get my tier 1 arms, that's in the bank, I had another random drop epic arms, and I won it, as well as a shard, which we'll get into shards here a little bit later. Excuse me. And along the elite drops, there's also seals. In game, you'll deal with seals of the unicorn and seals of the drake. Those can be exchanged for gear as well. For instance, I had enough seals of the unicorn to purchase this epic ring, which goes into my build where I'm trying to build a crit recovery power stack for the rogue. I started off with crit, and that was a good choice. Crit's one of the primaries you want to keep for trickster rogue, but I was kind of flying all over the place for my secondary and tertiary abilities. But so far I've come down to crit, recovery, and power are the priorities that I want to try to keep. Some might argue that it should be crit, power, recovery, but it's iffy depending on your build, because there's two builds. There's a high DPS crit build, and then there's a stealth build, which is more for survivability and PvP and such. But enough about that. Let's get back to the end game. So at the end game, you can unlock epic dungeons by raising your gear score. Well, when I hit 60, I think I had a gear score maybe just at 6,000, so I had access to like 2 dungeons. And I don't think 2 pieces is going to be enough to do it. So, how did I jump through those gear score gates with all this stuff? This is all PvP gear. By joining in PvP, in 3 days I had all the PvP gear and got me up to over 7,000 gear score rating. And PvP, the equipment for it is based on honor. So that's basically the experience or the points that you get for PvP, and then you spend them to buy gear, or in some cases you can buy potions and such that can only be used in PvP. Then a premium is a companion, which in this case is a dancing sword. But each night I played for PvP for 3 days straight, and I'm not much of a PvP guy, so I just trundled through it. And in 3 days I had all 4 sets of the rogue gear, which has a nice set bonus. 2 pieces get you a plus 400 lifesteal, and all 4 pieces increases how long your stealth meter is by 20%, so you stay in stealth much longer. And then I also, on the third night, I stayed a little longer to get the main hand dagger. But I already have one that I got from the Hero of the North when you get level 60, the Delzoon dagger, which I'm probably going to switch over to the purchased one. I just need to build up the enchantments to switch over my weapon enchantment over to the new one. As you can see, I would lose about 193 power, but I gain a little bit of everything else, including some hit points. So that's kind of iffy if I'm going to switch over to that one or not. But so it actually took me a little less than 3 days, probably 2.5 days to get the 4 pieces of gear, and that got me. Oh, I gotta get out of here. Open up my character. There we go. It got me to just, I think, about 75 because I didn't have the ring at that time. Let's see if I take off the ring, put on the old one. Well, 7,800. So that got me up to about 7,800. And then, of course, unlocked a lot more of the dungeons. The throne, which required a 68. The Lair of the Mad Dragon, which required 68. The Grey Wolf Den required 68. And these others, excuse me, the next tier requires 8,300. So I'm almost there. I've got to get almost 400 more increase on my gear score to unlock the rest. And then the final dungeon is Castle Never, which is a 9,200 gear score rating. And you can see through these first ones, the 5,700 gate are tier 1. The 8,300 gate are tier 2. And then the Castle Never one doesn't specifically say it's a tier, it just says it's the best gear, and it looks like it's the non-essential stuff, like instead of armor and main hand, it's ring, neck, waist. Oh, there is a main hand on there and an offhand. So that kind of fills the other side of your character slots. And then, of course, doing the Tier 2 dungeons and the Castle Never, instead of getting Seals of the Unicorn, you're getting Seals of the Drake, which is a higher tier trade-in. So PvP, once you get to 60, if you haven't been doing PvP, start doing it right away. If you do PvP while you're leveling, save that honor up, because all the gear is going to be level 60 anyway, so there's not much you can do with that gear with your honor except buying potions. So save up your honor, and when you hit 60, you can probably get a piece or two right off the bat. And then get the rest of it, do PvP a couple days, get the rest of your gear, get that gear score up to about 7,500. That'll give you access to a couple extra epic dungeons. And then you could probably, if you've got a few of them unlocked like I did, you can go right in to start working on your tier 2 stuff. But I went ahead and started a couple Cloak Tower runs. So I had the tier 1 arms already. So now I need to work on Cragmire to get my feet and ring. Or I can just go right into the next ones. You see the 6800 also has armor and the offhand for tier 1. The lair has the head and the waist for tier 1. And then I've got to get my gear score up another about 400 points to start working on tier 2. Okay, so now that we know how to get your gear score up quickly when you hit 60, and what you can look forward to in epic dungeons, the dungeon bosses will drop seals, unicorn and drake seals. You can use those as well to purchase gear. And it is one of the things you can purchase with your ardent coins. Ardent coins are the celestial coins are the coins you get every day when you do an invocation. See, I've already done my first one today. I've got 17 minutes left before I can do another one. but you usually only get one of each coin each day on your first invocation for the day. Now the celestial coins has a cap of 7, and it's usually just minor buffing items, crafting stuff, maybe some random enchants. But ardent coins you can purchase seals with, and you can purchase seals of the unicorn and seals of the drake on a 1-for-1. So right now I have 15 ardent coins. I can go ahead and exchange those for 15 seals of the drake, and that'll get me a lot faster to purchasing some of the dragon seal stuff. As you can see, some of the ardent coin things really get up there, like the angel of protection companion, 360 coins. So that means you have to be, well, the ardent coins don't clear off like the celestial coins do. Celestial coins, you have 30 hours before they disappear, in which time if you do another invocation, then that timer will reset. So long as you keep resetting that timer, you'll get your celestial coins. But as we said, the celestial coins cap at 7 anyway. So like the other day, I had mine capped at 7, and I had purchased the random coffer of enchants, which gave me a rank 4 enchant and something that'll help you fuse some things together. But I am going to start doing the resource pack, because I already ran out of resources. I have been working, got my leather working up to 13, rank 13. And as soon as I hit 13, it slowed down big time. Which is a good thing, kind of. Crafting's kind of been nowhere near keeping up with characters. Your character outlevels what you can craft quickly. Okay, so that's one way to get seals. You can purchase them. They drop off of bosses and dungeons. Now let's take a look at what you can purchase with unicorns, seals, and drake seals. Vendors here in the market. Okay, unicorn seals, which are basically the tier 1 seals. You see the items cost anywhere from 45, 35 for the rings, which is what I paid for the ring I have. Up to 60 for the bigger pieces, 80 for the chest pieces, 80 for the main hand weapon, 50. So I would say an average boss drops 2 to 3 seals, and an average dungeon probably has 2 to 3 bosses in it. So they're pretty quick. I think the largest dungeon I was in was the Lair of the Mad Dragon, which is a crazy, stupid end boss dungeon. They throw so many ads at you, it's non-stop, just fighting everywhere. Okay, and then you switch over to the Drake of the Seal, and the cost of that increased dramatically. I think the lowest is 100. Oh, nope, there's some 80s for those rings. Then we have 200 for a main hand weapon, 180 for the chests. And these should be equivalent to tier 2. However, these are not the same as the tier items that drop in the dungeons, because the tier items actually have set bonuses, while these are kind of like your world drops and such that are on par with each piece, but they don't have set bonuses. Okay, so that's how you get your gear score up. You gate through, increase your gear score by getting better gear, obviously. Now, as far as shards go, each of the elite dungeons also has a chance for dropping a shard, which you have to need agreed on with the rest of the group. Everybody pretty much needs on them, because everybody needs them. But they combine, and actually I can show you, let's go show you a shard. I have one. I went through 2 epic dungeons last night and managed to win one of them. And there are 2 different kinds of rare shards. Do we still have it? No, it's in here. Okay, there's the tier 1 arms that dropped last night. The other tier 1, well, the other tier 1 non-set arms that dropped that I won, I put up on the auction house for about 5,000 coins because apparently it was a common drop because 5,000 was kind of the low end. But I also got Shard of the Frostburn enchantment. Now there are different shards, but the key factor in what they do is the shape of the shards. The square are for armor enchantments. The diamond ones will be for weapon enchantments. And just like gemstones, you need 4 of them. Then you can fuse them together to make something. See, I don't even think it'll give me the option to do it. Cancel. If I click on fuse, that's a bug I've already reported. Kind of silly, you can't do anything with your bank open. Okay, so, and it's not going to tell me what the result will be until I have 4 of them. But I have seen some resources on the web where, or actually on the Neverwinter forums, that tell us somebody's gone through and already grind, the past tense for grind, and got all the shards pretty much and fused them together. 4 of these will make a lesser version of an enchantment, and then 4 of those fused together will make a normal, and then 4 normals fused together will make a greater. So calculate that. 4 into 1, that's 4 into 4 of those is 16. The 4 of those makes 64 total runes to get 1 greater. That's not fun. And you notice these are not bound on character, so it's quite possible. Let me put mine in the bank. That we can see them on the auction house. We're looking for shards. Enchants and runes. Shard. There we go. Yep, there's the diamond shape for weapon enchantments. Squares for armor enchantments. Now, armor and weapon enchantments are different from the offensive-defensive abilities of gemstones. You see, the armor I'm wearing has an actual armor enchantment slot. That's specifically where those shards come into play. They create an armor enchantment. My weapon has an actual weapon enchantment slot. Those shards make a weapon enhancement slot. As you can see, I've got the weapon slot filled because this came from a level 60 chest for the Hero of the North pack, which already had the weapon slot in it. So I lucked out on that one. And it's probably going to get replaced here shortly. So there's a difference between some of the shards. There's some epic level armor and weapon enchantments you'll need to work on. Let's see, all of these are shards. I wonder... There's about 400 different... Well, there's 400 on the auction house. There's the Frostburn. Looks like they're going for about 55 to 6,000 each. There's different types. And some of those are much better than gemstones. I mean, we've seen what the gemstones do. Let's see, what's a good one? Like that one, plus 5.5 on my glory gain. Obviously, that's a PvP one. One I got in my dagger, plus 90 lifesteal. One of my boots gives me plus 5 more glory. See, the one I have in this ring over here gives me plus 90 armor penetration. So that's the normal gemstone stuff. The epic armor and weapon enchants do... Actually, I can show you the one we have in this weapon here. Plague Fire enchantment. And it's not going to tell you looking at the weapon. Oh yeah, it does. Weapon enchantment slot. You deal an additional 5.5% of weapon damage as fire damage with your powers. Additionally, you burn your foe for 1.8% of weapon damage as fire damage every 1 second for 3 seconds and induce terror in your foe, reducing their defense by 10%. And that effect can stack up to 3 times. That's from that one weapon enchantment. And that's, I believe, that was the one that came with that weapon, so that might be a normal weapon enchantment instead of a lesser. Let's see. I had the examples up, but I don't anymore. But some of the defensive ones were 10% chance when you are struck to cast a fireball at the target, doing so much damage. There was one that was a thorns, so your opponents take damage striking you. So those are pretty important enchantments to have for your equipment. Oh, let's see what else we got. One thing that isn't quite ready yet. So once we get to Castle Never and we're going through that thing, what's next? Well, they already have stuff in the works called, actually I can show you in the daily events. Dailies you can get are the Gottlegrim dungeon. Gottlegrim dungeon is the large dungeon that is also a PvP dungeon, meaning it will be, I believe the stats were 20 versus 20 in a dungeon. So that's going to be something along the lines of Dark Age of Camelot. Well, remember that dungeon? I can't remember what it was. Something Downs, where both all factions can enter the dungeon, and it could be PvP while you're taking off the PvE mobs. So that was actually an awesome dungeon. So it looks like, and that hasn't released yet. So for Gottlegrim, we're looking forward to that. And of course, just like the current dungeons, that dungeon is going to drop Grim coins, and those Grim coins will be in exchange for gear. Now, I'm guessing that's going to start our Tier 3 stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Once I got all of that used to it, and I saw that they had Tier 2 items already, they thought a little bit ahead, got a little more content out than most games. We're not waiting on Tier 1. We've already got access to Tier 1 and Tier 2 gear. So once we're ready to go and we're fighting in Castle Never, it's just a matter of waiting for Gottlegrim to unlock. And that big 20 versus 20 dungeon, which will be awesome. So I'm going to take a quick break here, and when I come back I'll start up another stream and we'll start queuing for some dungeons to see what they're like in Endgame Epic Dungeons. So I will see you guys in a few minutes. Bye.